Thank you for waiting. We were traveling. We were in Puerto Rico and our flight was delayed. So we just like walked into the house. I'm a little out of sorts, but here we are.
No worries, no worries. And then your name is Aaliyah, correct?
It's Alia. It's like soft A's, if you can remember that.
Got it. Okay, I'll try to remember. Aaliyah. So just before we get started, I just want to let you know that we do record our consultations, so on the form and everything, as well as our in-person sessions and just board entries and data key and trains. So just a heads up on that. But I saw you had 2 dogs, correct?
We do have 2 dogs. I'm going to show you one of them. This is Cammy. And she is they're both French bulldogs.
Mm-hmm.
Cammy is they're the same age. They're 2 weeks apart. They're half siblings. She's a girl. And then my big boy is Biscuits, also a French bulldog, 2 weeks older.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and you can continue to fill me in on both dogs and what your goals are. While you'll speak, I'll be taking my notes, and then after that, we will go from there.
That's Enrique. Say hi, Enrique. That's my son, Constantine. Okay, so both of my dogs are leash aggressive.
Okay.
They were socialized until the pandemic. And they're puppies. Well, they're no longer puppies, but they're only 3. So they were socialized before the pandemic for about a year. We did puppy classes at our local Petco, which was mostly just like socialization in a controlled environment. Mm-hmm. And then when the pandemic happened, I take them on walks. She has really good leash etiquette with me, but she's so aggressive towards other dogs. Here's the big boy, such a sweetie. Constantine, stop, please. You know, I created anxiety for them because we would walk away from people and dogs when we saw them. And so I noticed that really affected their behavior, of course, over time. I'm actually on this phone call and it's very important for the dogs. So now they are super aggressive towards other dogs. Biscuits will like go after other dogs to try to attack them when he sees them. Okay. Cammy is not as bad unless she's with Biscuits. So of course, their personalities are really heightened by one another. Okay. So I take them on separate walks. I have a mesh muzzle that I put on both of them that's like very soft because of their like sweet little skin. Yeah. And that definitely helps me feel more confident. And I think because I feel more confident, they feel more confident, you know. But my goal for them is that we can have positive interactions with other dogs individually and to like collectively when they're both there. And I know that's like a big goal, but I also know like I've been trying to help them develop their individual personalities because I've been doing like some research, and because they're always together, they sleep together, they play together, you know, they're always together. So I try really hard to encourage them to develop their own personal personalities by doing like individual things with them. They eat at the same time, but in different locations, and they only like so often they'll kind of get into like a little like nothing aggressive, but you know, they'll start yapping at each other, but that's not very often. So they mostly like they have a very positive dynamic. I'm gonna flip this around so that you can see them like they're playing right now, just like having, you know, a great time together. So they're amazing with adults or with humans. They're great with kids, but they're incredible, as you can see, but they are incredibly aggressive towards other dogs, unfortunately.
Got it. Okay. Anything else?
I mean, you know, other goals would just be like, Cammy is very, very good at following my lead on the leash. She's very responsive to like light tension on the leash. She lets me walk ahead for the most part. You know, unless she gets like really excited or triggered by a squirrel or something. Biscuits is horrible on the leash. He pulls, he's just like overly excited about everything. So that's like a secondary goal for me. Definitely like socialization first, and then maybe some like better leash etiquette second, if possible. That's true. That's true. Sometimes Biscuit scratches humans because of his nails. That's okay. But yeah.
Okay. And then so when was the last time they were able to socialize with like another dog, like just like anyone else?
So they used to play with our neighbor's dog like before the pandemic, like 2 years ago. We would like socialize with the neighbors and their dogs. We stopped doing that, and it was like, and then even that summer, so I don't know, or maybe it was a year later, I can't remember, like last summer, that's what it was. So, it was like the pandemic, and then last summer, like for 10 minutes, things loosened. And I remember taking him, I'm sorry, I go upstairs. I remember taking Biscuits over to the neighbor's house to play with their dog. And there had been like a 1-year lapse of socialization. And he had a different dynamic about him. He was like a different dog in that scenario. So they haven't successfully interacted with other dogs in 2 years.
Okay. What happened when with Biscuit with the other dog? Like what occurred?
He like tried to attack him initially. That didn't happen initially. Like they started running around, like doing what they do. They're running around, they're like playing with each other. And then, something triggered him, and he like went to pull, he's a bulldog. So he like went for the nose and tried to pull him down. The other dog. He is super responsive to me and my husband. So as soon as I said like, Biscuits, leave it. I think I said, drop it. Like I was really reactionary, and he did. So he's aggressive, but he's also like, he knows that I'm dominant. He knows that my husband's dominant. They sleep in a kennel. We call their kennel their home. If I ask them to go to their home, they go to it. So I don't think either one of them see themselves as alpha in the house, but it's very easily switched to like primitive, aggressive kind of, instinctual tendencies when there's other dogs in the dynamic.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. And then how old are they again? Sorry.
No, that's okay. They're 3. They're 3.5. Their birthday is in October. Both of their birthdays are in October, and they're about 2 weeks apart.
Okay. And then before the pandemic, when they were socializing, it was going well, correct?
Oh yeah. They were great with other dogs, great with our neighbors' dogs. They weren't reactive on the leash. That really happened because of a lack of socialization.
Okay. Yeah. You pretty much, you're correct with that. Anything else?
No, I just don't like, I would say one thing that worries me, like this is the thing that's most worrisome, is like when dogs pass our house now, they'll sit by the window, of course, and they're like the yappy dogs. Somehow I have the yappy, like annoying dogs now. So they'll like pop off when a dog is in front of the house. Okay. When they're separate, they don't do that. If it's just one of them, they'll just like sit there and watch. And I've seen this. If it's the 2 of them, they just feed off of each other. They get aggressive towards like the dog outside, they'll be barking, and then they'll get a little bit aggressive towards one another, but it's never like, it's like for the better position on the couch to watch the dog. It's not rooted, I don't think, in like aggression towards one another.
Got it. Okay.
And that only happens though when they're together. Individual, it's like they, that is not their response.
Got it. All right. So what else? No situation. And then you mentioned earlier that Biscuit would actually like go for a dog on the leash.
Mhm.
Has he ever, like, besides your neighbor, has he ever had any other incidents where he got in like a little scuffle with another dog?
Yeah, our other neighbor, again, it's a different neighbor. Our other neighbor, our door was open. Actually, my husband, we were not here. We had someone watching the house. This was like last summer, and they left the door open, so it was like a little bit of irresponsibility from a lot of people. So he ran out of the house and he ran after a dog, and he I think he tried to like attack the dog, but the owner and the woman that was watching them intervened immediately. And like I said, like as soon as he kind of clicks back and hears his voice and hears dominance, he's out of it. But he definitely tried to attack that dog. It wasn't like a friendly, like, let's go play. It was like aggressive. From my understanding, I wasn't here. And then I talked to my neighbor about it, because I was like mortified. And I was so apologetic. And my neighbor was like, actually, it was a big deal because he ran out of the house and he was very aggressive, but it didn't escalate.
Mhm.
So that was at least that's good, I guess.
Okay, I see. All right.
He,
Other than that,
I can say this, he's redirected easily, but he definitely has like an instinct to attack.
got it. Okay. Any other moments?
No, just those two.
Got it. Okay. So Biscuit and Chamomile, right? Chamomile?
Yeah, chamomile. We call her Cammy. So
Cammy.
like Cami. She'll go by either Biscuits or chamomile, or I mean chamomile, Cammy.
Okay.
Cammy flower. Yeah, like a chamomile flower.
Cammy and Biscuit. So Cammy sounds like overall, like you said, she's pretty much more the passive one,
Yeah.
except once there are dogs, she will blow up.
Yeah.
Did they both started to develop their reactivity at like the same time, or did one dog become reactive first and then that triggered the other dog, or was it just like they both like one day they just blew up?
I think it was the same time. I don't know, because we really kept ourselves distant for, we did what we were supposed to do. I'm sure, like, I know that this is a very common story right now.
Mhm.
We kept ourselves distant for like a whole year. And then when we tried to socialize, they were no longer in a receptive space. So I'm not sure, but they both reacted the same at the time of socialization. And that was like, it wasn't even timid. It was aggressive.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Dogs are very routine-based animals. So once you've gotten the routine of no people, no dogs for a year, and
Right.
all of a sudden you want to see dogs or see people, then it's like, whoa, this is out of the norm. Same thing with like separation anxiety. If we have clients who are working from home for like 2 years, and then all of a sudden they go to the office, the dog will like freak out, like they won't know what's going on. So that's where all that's coming from, is just the routine has changed. And then it's been the same for so long now. Now we're going back to a change. So then they're having a hard time adjusting. But
Yes.
All of this is a lot of stuff that's good to hear is that they're both technically social dogs. It's just the on leash, they seem to have a hard time, which could come from many different things. It could be, maybe from Biscuit, I'm getting a little bit like overstimulation where dogs, which is also very, very common in our clients or dog owners, where they just can't really focus on one thing. They're kind of like, it's almost like they're like searching for something. So it sounds like he's a little overstimulated. Cammy's more passive. So like I said, reactivity can come from many different things. It could be like a territorial thing. It could be like, this is my pack. I haven't seen people or whatever in so long. Why are they coming towards us? So it could be a territorial thing, but either way, territorial reactivity in general is coming from like insecurity.
Mhm.
So all dogs are different. Some dogs actually do mean it and are very territorial, to the point where, like, if they get loose or if the dog comes, they will react or bite. So like I said, Biscuit is definitely, I think he's overstimulated. Cammy, it could just be that just the gap, she's just become reactive. Again, like you said earlier, it is a popular kind of like story where, like, the pandemic has caused problems in our dogs with the lack of socialization and like the whole like quarantine thing. Good. So what is needed for Biscuit and Cammy is, although Cammy does have good leash skills, is we would want to work on their leash skills first. So I know you said before you would want to do socialization, then leash skills, but the leash skills will help with your socialization. And I'll explain that in a little bit. And then just to confirm, oh no, I already have it here. Okay, so then any questions so far about what I just said?
No, not at all. It all makes sense, of course, like to have better leash kind of etiquette, and then that's going to help feel confident during socialization. And I also know it's coming from me because I'm so freaked out now that Biscuits and Cammy, when I take them individually, like I'm so freaked out that they're going to be reactive. And I know they sense that my anxiety.
Mhm.
So like, I'm not helping at all with any of it. Sorry, hold on one
No
second.
worries, no worries.
In
Then,
a Zoom meeting. Okay.
sorry?
All right, back.
What was I going to say?
So you take leash first, probably for both of them, and then would you be able to work with them, and you'd be able to, like, of course, work individually, right? Or like whoever
Yeah.
decides to work with them.
Yeah, so it depends on like what program you're doing. But definitely we can work with both dogs at the same time.
Mhm.
Because it's most likely the energy that the like I feel like Biscuit might, or not Biscuit, yeah, Biscuit might be the one that has the most energy. So
Yeah.
then Cammy might be feeding off of that, which is making her react. That could be it. But definitely we would definitely want to do both dogs. When you mention socialization, are you just talking about like your walks next to dogs, or are you actually interested in one-on-one like play time with your dogs?
I
That is
think, yeah, I want both. I want to be able to like walk with confidence, not fearful that they're going to be triggered and aggressive if we're passing dogs or seeing dogs, for
okay.
sure. And then like beyond that, I would love for them to be receptive to having other dogs in our yard or other dogs eventually in the house, or like going, you know, like I used to be able to take them to my kids' softball games and there were always dogs around. I cannot do that anymore because it's just not a safe situation for me or for them or for other people.
Okay.
So that's like, the biggest scale goal would be that I can widen their life experience to beyond my house and our block.
That's correct.
Yeah.
But I was about to say something else. You mentioned something. You said something about going to other people's houses, socializing.
Mhm. I mean, it would be great if they felt so confident that we could invite someone with a
Oh,
dog
yeah.
over. Like that
So,
would be, I know that that's a very big goal because they've actually never had that experience. So I know like that goal might actually be unfeasible, but it would be awesome if they felt so confident and I felt so confident that we could socialize in a space that's our own.
got it. And then how are they with people, like strangers?
They're great.
They're
Like
fine.
they're they have never they're amazing with people, they're amazing with kids, they've never shown any aggression towards humans or kids at all,
Okay. Got it.
ever.
Okay. Cool. And then what's I supposed to say? And then what's I know you said you already have muzzles. Those are like those ones that like go around the eyes too, right?
Yeah, they kind of look like Bane.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're really
Um,
cute and they're very soft. Like I did some research about the best for Frenchies or for bulldogs in general. And they're like very soft, they're easy to clean, good things for the wrinkly skin.
yeah, good. And then what else, what do you walk them on? Like, do you use like a harness, a regular collar, or gentle leader? What's the training tool there?
They have harnesses.
Mhm.
And they also have collars, but I don't ever connect anything to their collars. It's just, they have them with their little tags on them. So they each have a harness, and the harness has like 2 hooks, one in the front and one towards the back. And I have a leash with 2, like 2 connectors. And so when I hold them on the leash, they feel like my lead from the top of their muzzle and the bottom of the top of their harness and the bottom of their harness. So I feel like very secure when I walk them, that I have a lot of kind of control if I need it.
Got it. Okay. For our harnesses, we technically don't recommend them for walks. And it's also it might be escalating your reactivity. So owners like the harness because they feel like they have the most control over the dog because it's just around the whole body. But it actually makes it a little more tougher. You're in a good position because they are just French bulldogs, so they aren't like, it's not like you have like a Mastiff on a harness or like a Great Dane on a harness, which is like a totally different picture there. But for harnesses, dogs have what's called opposition reflex. Do you know what opposition reflex is?
Just from you saying it, it makes a little sense to me what it could be, but I would love to hear your expertise.
Got it. Opposition reflex is when you pull back on the harness or the leash, the dog wants to go against the pressure. So back, they want to go forward, left, they go right, right, they go left. And then if you want to pull forward, they kind of resist or they want to go backwards. So harnesses are meant for, huskies to pull sleds because they need the dog to pull. Horses wear harnesses. We also put harnesses on our protection trained dogs to create aggression. So what would happen is we have the person in the bite suit across from us, handler has the dog in their harness. The handler pulls back, but then releases a little bit. So they're kind of like tugging with the dog because the dog is, when they get the tension here, they want to go forward. So we let them go forward, but then we pull back immediately. So then they're thinking, I want to go forward. I'm getting frustrated. So once we see enough frustration or aggression, we let the leash go and then they go and bite the guy. For humans, it'd be like, I don't know if
I get it. So I probably am like teaching them that, not knowing it.
Yeah, some owners
man.
unintentionally could be making their like little puppy or dog a protection trained dog, but
Right.
but it's not like it's definitely like an easy fix. So like this isn't like I'm not getting anything because sounds like it's just a bunch of like frustration and overstimulation, right? Which has nothing to do with like genetics or like handler error or anything like that. It's just something that kind of over time was building up to now it has gotten to this point, which is also very common when we start to see it in puppies. If they start to become more frustrated, it's just will just start to escalate. Can't technically get better with the harness. I know you'll see like at the stores, no pull harness or whatever, those little tags. Technically, Jesse will call them oxymorons because they're meant for pulling.
Right.
So even with the front clip, it's still not going to address the actual reactivity. So what was I about to say?
So I'm not going to do this yet, but so I should connect to their collar.
Technically a dog, it's because we have to think, what's the word? Technically, yes, you would want to go to their collar, but a lot of times dog would still act the same way with the harness. Like they still want to pull because there's nothing uncomfortable about the tension that will be given if they decide to pull. So there's no like a consequence for their actions. So if they pull and they're acting like a fool and everything like that, and there's no you know, no communication, right, in their language, then they're just going to keep, you know, circling around, and they're going to keep going. So that's why we don't use harnesses. Flat collars, if you try using them, they're probably Biscuit maybe. Yeah, maybe Biscuit might just choke himself out because he's still, there's nothing really being communicated there as well.
That's why you use the choke collar, right?
The choke collar could be a better tool. So we have slip chains, slip leashes, choke collar. Sometimes people call prong collars choke collars. Some people call it slip chains choke collars as well. But we have a lot of other tools.
Okay.
Technically, the next step that would be like kind of moving forward to address your reactivity would be prong collar. But we don't have any programs with prong collar. The reason why we don't have any programs with prong collar is because you can teach heel, stay, sit down, come, place with prong collar. You can do that. But once you take the leash off or you don't have your prong collar on, you've lost all control. So you don't get that off leash control. And sometimes, since you do technically have, you know, bully dogs, bully bred dogs, sometimes they might override the prong collar, which is also very common, where, you know, the dog is so overstimulated or so amped up, like maybe they're at a 10 and then you're trying to tug them the other way and your strongest tug is a 7, then you're never going to override Biscuit. He's still going to be stuck there. But like when there's no dogs, maybe he's super sensitive to prong, he's very good. But once there's that dog or squirrel or whatever it is he's more interested in, you might not get through the brain. The reason why prong collar does get success is because of how it works. So prong collars, if you've ever seen one, they're those spiky ones.
Yeah.
So they're supposed to mimic a dog bite. So when the communication that's happening with the prong collar to Biscuit from you is you're technically biting Biscuit, right? You're biting your dogs. And again, the reason why we see, or why owners see a change right away, is because you're giving physicality to your dog, and the physicality is technically a dog's language.
Right.
From 3 to 4 weeks old, they've been getting physicality from their mothers.
Right.
There's a popular YouTube video we always like to mention. It's a cream retriever. You might have seen it. She's entering a playpen, and she like corrects her puppies because they just bombard her.
Right. Yeah, I've seen it. I've been doing so much research. I'm like annoying myself with it. But I also want to be sure, because I did, of course, like look into the company. I want to be sure that the practices that you use like, align with my goals in a way I feel comfortable with. You know, because I know, like you said, I don't want something that is not sustainable. I don't want to like pay for an unsustainable practice and unsustainable training. So I really appreciate that you're walking through like prong training with me for that reason.
Yeah. And prong collar is also very like nuanced. It's very like specific, like how to hold a leash, giving pressure and everything like that. And sometimes it could be very personal to the dog, because Biscuit, or dogs just in general, know where it's coming from when they see the leash connected to you. Right. So sometimes they take it personal, or they like give you a look like, what was that for? Right.
Yeah, totally.
What else? Good. So and then I'm assuming you did your research on us, and then we do e-collar training, correct?
Yeah, I did see that.
So the reason why we only do the e-collar training is because we already know that e-collar training can get us to 100% to 90% of reliable obedience up to off-leash obedience. Have you ever been to like a physical therapist or like a chiropractor before?
Absolutely. Yes, both. All the time. And like, of course, the more you go, you're retraining. So I like, it's a means of retraining your physical reaction. Is that with the e-collar? Like resetting or retraining?
No, not really.
Oh,
I was just going to describe like the feeling of it because
oh,
at physical at the when you're doing physical therapy, they have what's called like a TENS unit, and it's like an electric thing where it contracts like the muscles here. That same feeling is what the e-collar feels like. It's just a muscle contraction. Yeah.
mhm.
And we've had other, doctors and chiropractors tell us like, oh, this is just a mini TENS unit on a dog. That's all it is. And they feel a lot more comfortable because they're so familiar with the technology, then they know it's like not going to damage or hurt the dog at all. Um, so even like the way they work with their patients is very similar to how we work for our dogs. They start low and they slowly work their way up until the patient lets them know, hey, it's a little uncomfortable. They lower it 2 levels down or 3, and then they let the machine do the rest of the work by itself. So even that practice is also very similar to how we do our training with our dogs. A lot of times people call them shock collars. We don't like to call them shock collars. It's very like a negative, like a title for it. But they are electric, but they're not like electricity. So it's not like flowing through the dog's body. It's whatever it's touching is what it'll be contracting. So it's literally just like a strap, a little box, and 2 contact points. Whatever these 2 are touching is what it's going to be affecting. The brand we use is called Doctra. Jesse has been using other brands, has used other brands and throughout his career, but Doctra has been his main one and his most successful one. He's used. You might see that there are other brands online on Amazon, and you might see they're cheaper, but maybe they have like 8 levels, right? So a cheap collar 8 level isn't the way to go, right? For our brand, we have 127 levels of stimulation, right? So these are in increments of 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 127. So
Okay.
when you see an 8 level e-collar, don't think we have 100 more levels. Think they're level 8 and our 127 equal.
Okay, I see.
They feel the same, but we have so many more numbers to be more specific to the dog's personality, the breed, or like the scenario we're in.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, because as you can imagine with that 8 level e-collar, since there's so big jumps, like some dogs might be overreacting, but then you lower it 1 level and they just ignore it, and then you're stuck there, right? It's waterproof. You get 1 mile to a half-mile long range. There are systems where they give you 1 remote to control both dogs, so you don't need to carry 2 remotes at all times. If you do have a partner, clients do like to have the dual dial, or like the remote that controls both dogs, as well as separate remotes. So then when they walk together with their partner, like everyone has their own remote and all that stuff. So they're waterproof, mile long range. They're rechargeable. You don't need batteries for them. And then we definitely do have like models for smaller dogs, big dogs, and all that stuff. Any questions so far about the e-collar?
That is how if you like choose to work with us, that's what you would use to train them on the leash.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
And what would need to be done and how we would start to apply the e-collar to your dogs is the first thing we want to teach is called the heel exercise. So our heel is like our walking command. Our heel means walk with me, stay with me, sit when I stop. So when you take 5 steps with your dogs, they take 5 steps. When you take 10, they take 10. And then when you come to a stop, they are to automatically sit on your side with their shoulder parallel to your leg. Loose leash in any environment. It's that strict.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of times clients would wonder, why would teaching my dog to walk nice on a leash affect the reactivity? It's not so much the obedience we're like focusing on, but it's like the psychology and the discipline behind it where that's what's going to affect the reactivity. Because if your heel, right, is really important and concerning to your dogs, technically they shouldn't care about anything else because they're more worried about keeping their shoulder on your leg.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So teaching the heel would also teach your dogs how e-collar works, right? So e-collar isn't as simple as, or e-collar training isn't as simple as dog is reacting and then you blast them. That's not how that works. The dog first needs to learn what the e-collar is and how And then eventually they need to learn, like it definitely eventually turns off at some point, right? Because they're going to be pretty confused in that moment. So that's why heel is important, because they're learning pressure turns on when I do this, pressure turns off when I do this, so that they're learning that they're finding out that they are the ones in control of the feeling, not you. Your dogs will never know that you are the one pressing the button, because there's nothing connected to you and the feeling.
Right.
So there's no confrontation, there's no energy, there's no yelling. It's just all you're doing is pressing a button, which is very simple. Any questions so far?
No, all of that makes a lot of sense to me.
Cool. So heel, letting them know how e-collar works. We're addressing your reactivity as well. The overstimulation is also being addressed, because an overstimulated dog is, like I said, is searching for something to do. They're always like, what do I do? What do I need to do? So with this, we're giving Biscuit a job to do on your walks. So then he's going to realize, oh, this is what I need to do. So you might see him become more calmer, because we'll hear a lot of times with an overstimulated dog, I take my dog 3-4 walks a day, I play fetch, and I put them on a treadmill, and they still want to play or engage with me. This is also like a symptom of overstimulation. So you might see or notice that both are more calm and relaxed in the home. Now, this is because it is very like mentally tiring and draining to keep that shoulder on your hip throughout the whole walk, right? So with the structure you're applying to your dog's life and the discipline with the heel, and depending how the reactivity is going and everything like that, then it opens up for socialization. Because right now, even though they know when to stop, it's not enough for them to retain it to the point where they just don't attack anymore.
Right. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So that's what we want. We just don't want any attacks, but it is good that you can disengage them just like that. So once reactivity is going, diminished, their leash walking skills are very good and they're more relaxed and more calm. Then we can see how socialization can work after that.
Yeah, that all makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. Any other questions about that?
No, I'm really on board with that process.
And after that, after we teach heel and we're focused on the priority, which is the reactivity, then we can go ahead and dive into stuff in the home, like barking at the window. Right. So like some owners appreciate that the barking at the window for security reasons, because they just like security. And then but what they want to do is control it. So basically you can bark, I'll check who it is. It's no one. They're barking at a leaf or whatever it is. And then you want them to calm down. You have that. Some owners, some clients want to totally eliminate the barking because they have upstairs, downstairs neighbors, and they can't have any complaints. So there's two ways to go about it: controlling it and elimination. So as we go through the program, you can think of what you want, or what would be best for you in your home.
Yeah, I think I can tell you right now, like we are very fortunate to live in a house. We live in Albany Park, and I want the dogs to bark like if someone knocks at the door or rings the doorbell. I like that. But yeah, so I'd like to control it.
Got it. Okay. What else? So it's good you have your muzzles now, because we'll definitely want to keep them on when we do start to introduce them to different dogs, just to kind of be safe and be ready for it.
Definitely.
What else? Cool.
They don't like them. I can tell you that right now. Like
the muzzles.
Cammy will wear it. She's fine. She'll wear it. Like she'll just throw me some shade. Biscuits, actually, like what you're saying with kind of being neurostimulation helping during the walk, because he's so focused on his discomfort with the muzzle, his leash etiquette is improved. But that's not sustainable. Like if I, what I mean? If I took it off, he would just go back to being like a maniac when he sees other dogs. So.
Exactly. Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
And then, like, what program were you looking into for your dogs?
To be honest, I really need your recommendation because they fit a lot of bills with what you have to offer. I definitely want something that is weekly. I want something, here, let me, well, I don't want to pull it up right now. I don't have it opened right now, but I would like a very regimented schedule, not like a one-off or, 3 weeks, but multiple, like 6 weeks travel minimum for both dogs. Like I'm really looking for some solid intervention.
Got it. Okay. So sounds like you're interested in like the in-person where we do work on one-on-one. So since you do have 2 dogs, what we might do, like for first class, we might have to add 30 minutes so that we have time to work with the other dog.
Right.
So we have the 6-week program, the 9-week program, and the 12-week program. From what I'm getting here, you're more in like the 6-week, 9-week range. The reason why let me see. So how it kind of works is there's 2 classes on heal, and then we kind of see what it fixes. Right. So we teach you heal. Okay, go practice this, and then you come back class 2. What changed? How to go. It was awful or whatever, right? And then we'll work you through that. We'll help you, correct anything that's needed. And then maybe come class 3 is like a lot better, because we have like a kind of like a progression, how reactivity progresses. If there's any human reactivity, which sounds like they don't, when we teach the client heal, human reactivity just goes away. It just goes away on its own. We don't need to attack it directly. After that, it's usually like joggers, rollerbladers, skateboarders. Then it's like the calm dog, and then it's or actually they're switched. It's humans, calm dogs, then the fast-moving objects like roller skaters, rollerbladers, squirrels, and then it goes reactive dogs. So other dogs that are reactive to your 2, right? And then the last one we can't really predict. It's like you turn the corner and there's a dog there, because that's like the most impossible one to do.
Right. Yeah.
So we have like a spectrum, right? So we kind of see how everything's progressing. And then, with the 6-week program, what we're doing in that program is really just doing like the bare bones, which is just your reactivity. That's it. If everything's progressing well, we can go over other obedience things. Are you interested in like recall, like the come and call command?
Not my priority. Like my priority is definitely reactivity and socialization.
Got it.
If that were to happen, great, but I don't want to focus on that as much.
Yes, that's why I think the 6-week would be good. And if you were looking for more obedience, then I would suggest the 9-week. But I think the 6-week would be great. I'll talk to Jesse as well to speak about like because it's been a while since I did a 2-dog program. But I'll have to speak with him, see what he recommends. But I'm thinking 6-week, just because what you're focusing on, that will give us enough time. If we do the 9-week, it's a little bit not unnecessary, but kind of like we'll have a lot of classes where like we'll go over obedience stuff, but since that's not an interest of yours, it would be kind of pointless. But let's say we do the 6-week program, and then you're noticing like, wow, like they're great to walk, like I want to learn more. Then you can go ahead and buy like more class, like a 3-week program to cover like other things you're interested in.
That was exactly my question. Like if we start with 6 and then potentially move on. Yeah,
yes.
That's
good. So how in-person works is it's an hour once a week. We teach you one topic at a time, just so we're not overwhelming you with information. Are you the primary handler for your dogs?
I am.
Okay. So again, everything's recorded for you. So then if you forget anything, it'll be on YouTube for you to watch. If you ever get like a dog walker or something, right, then you can tell them, if you want them to continue the structure you have with your dogs, they can watch the videos, kind of learn from that, and then apply it. That's up to you. But what else? 1 hour once a week.
Is this, so will I need to bring them to Jesse, or will Jesse come to our home?
It depends. So if you want to, because right now, what's the month?
It's
April.
April.
I think at the end of April, we're going to start moving our clients and our sessions to Oz Park. So I think I read on your form, you want Oz Park, correct?
It's not convenient. I mean, I know exactly where it is. It's definitely not convenient for me to get there. I would really appreciate if we could do in our neighborhood, even if it's not my house or if it's like more local to the north side. That will be like the biggest challenge for my family, would be getting my dog to Oz Park.
Got it. Yeah. We've done like in-home before, and we've done where like I would go to like a park nearby their home where it's like really busy, because it's important to see the reactivity happen, so I can see, work you through it, how to address it, how to fix it.
Yes.
So in-home is definitely an option. There may be an increase of the program, just a heads up there.
That's fine. There, my neighborhood, everyone has a dog.
Oh, nice.
And there's a ton of, I mean, it's awesome. I love it. And my neighborhood is predominantly like us, like we're Latinx, we're Hispanic. And so like us, everyone has a pit bull. And so and I want my dogs to be around a diversity of dogs, but especially other aggressive. Not all pitties are aggressive, but sometimes there's a lot of Chihuahuas and there's a lot of pit bulls. So, which is like such a stereotype, but it is what it is. So I would love to be kind of in our dynamic, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. No, yeah. So that's good. So like you'll get your 6 classes on our calendar, like those 6 time slots. You're also gonna get a +1, so you technically get 7 slots on our calendar. The +1 is just in case life happens, if you need a call off or whatever. You still have a slot reserved for you. Once you use that extra slot, you'll have to wait to get back on the calendar to continue the program. What else about it in person? Oh, and just so you know, with the e-collars, you want to make sure that you are rotating them, because for every hour you have them on, you want to make sure you rotate to the other side of the neck. This is because it's not from the stimulation. It's just because there's 2 metal probes stuck in one spot for a long time. They can get what's called pressure sores. So rotating would be best. If we find that your dogs have like an allergic reaction to it, we can definitely switch out the probes to like a different type of metal. So then you can have it for longer wear, and it's also not going to be such a big reaction to the metal. Another thing I forgot to cover, which is a common question owners have asked in the past, which is like, how long does the e-collar stay on? Is it on 24/7? Like after the program, do we graduate from it? Do I still need it? So on your walks for both dogs, the e-collar should always be on, even after you do your program.
Yep.
It's not like you're always using it, but it's going to be there just in case. So let's say your reactivity is great. There's no reactivity and you're just a great walk. You would still want it on just because we can't predict what's going to happen. So let's say a car backfires, a firework goes off, or something just suddenly happens where they book it and like maybe the leash slips out your hand. We've heard a ton of horror stories. So when they're running away or they're frightened, we call that flight mode. So when dogs are in flight mode, they're thinking kill or be killed. They're running for their lives. So sometimes so-and-so come might not work because they're thinking, I got to get out of here. So then you have your remote to override the brain and make them do the 180 and come back to you in situations like those. So just in like those moments, we recommend always having them on when you're out and about. In the home, it looks like, they like to hang out, play and all that stuff. And it sounds like you don't have any issues in the home, then you don't need it. When you're gonna have guests come over, maybe you have a guest come over who doesn't like dogs. You can collar them up 30 minutes prior, address whatever that is needing to be addressed. And if you find that they're fine when the guest is there for the rest of the stay, you can take it off or you can keep it on, depending on how you're feeling that night. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
So are you interested in working with Jesse?
I will work with whomever. I would love to work with you too. I mean, I know it's like he's the dog whisperer or whatever, but you seem pretty knowledgeable. So whoever is available, and I would love to like be pretty quick about interventions. So, you know, if you're available, let's go.
All right. Okay. So if you do work with Jesse, this $135 fee of the consultation will still go towards your program. It's not separate. You'll just let Tina, who you want to work with. And again, depending on availability, some days I'm available, some days he's available, or we're not available, sorry. So you may work Jesse depending on your availability, because that's what we work with, is your availability.
Sure.
So after this consultation, my assistant Tina is going to be reaching out to you with the programs we talked about, the e-collar and options we talked about during the Zoom call, and the model I recommend for both your dogs.
Yep.
And she's also going to send you a form that needs to be signed. Once you sign that form, then you can go ahead and begin the billing and booking process, whether it's with me or Jesse. What else? If anything comes up, any other questions with the training or e-collar or anything like that, feel free to email me. We also recommend, if you haven't already, check out our YouTube channel. We post all our videos there. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like you are pretty effective.
Yeah.
It seems like you guys know what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. We like to think so.
Yeah.
What else? Any other questions?
Not right now. If I have another question, I'll just reach out. It's no problem. And I'll just try to be ready to sign. I imagine it's like a waiver, so that we can get started.
Yeah, it should be sent out either later today or tomorrow.
No problem.
Other than that, it was very nice speaking with you. And then, yeah, just keep a lookout for that email and we'll be in touch.
Thank you, Enrique. Good to talk to you too. Please say bye-bye, Mr. Enrique.
Bye.
Bye. All right, see you later.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.